Oh, good.
All ready?
He says it's going.
All right, so it's Tuesday, July 8th, 2025, 6:02 p.m., I think. Right around. So we'll call this meeting to order as our regular July meeting. If you would, stand with me for the pledge, followed by invocation.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Everybody please bow your head. Dear Heavenly Father, please come to this room and give us advice and touch us and tell us the right way to vote for the best use of the tax dollar money. And please help us to figure all the problems out. Thank you for everything you do for us, Lord. In Jesus Christ's name we pray. Amen.
Amen. You guys may have a seat. So, thank you all for being here tonight. And before we dive into the agenda, there's a lot of things going on in our world around us, and one of them that's touched me and several other lives, I think, is what's going on in Texas with the floods and the loss of many lives, especially children. As a parent of a child who's currently at church camp, it hits home a little bit thinking about it. So I would just like to take a moment of our time, moment of silence for all of the victims of Texas and the tragedies that's been lost. Thank you guys for that. So we're going to start this with a public hearing for additional appropriations that are on the agenda tonight. Is there anybody here tonight that would like to speak on behalf of or against any of the additional appropriations that we have advertised for this evening? Going once, going twice. No, if you would just log that there was no public comments regarding additional appropriations.
JR,
Sir.
John was trying to get your attention.
Sorry about that.
No, I'm sorry, I didn't mean.
Oh, you're fine.
I thought it might be nice if we do the same thing for our officer that died.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, we should do that.
You're on that, or?
I was just gonna do it around the sheriff's department, but,
Okay.
No, let's take a moment. For anybody that doesn't know, here in Scott County, we had a deputy that was a detective with the sheriff's office that passed away unexpectedly. And so we'll just take a moment and remembrance of him and all his loved ones that he worked with. Good call on that, Joe. Thank you guys very much. I know a lot of them guys are hurting over there.
Yeah.
The next up would be, is there anyone here at the public comment for anything that's not listed on our agenda tonight? All right, and then we'll dive into the agenda. First up, I listed some of these things under the commissioner's board, but I guess we need to entertain a motion to adjourn the public hearing portion of any public comments.
I'd make a motion to adjourn the public hearing.
Motion by Jonathan White, second by John Collins. All in favor of adjourning that portion of the meeting? You in or out on that, Elizabeth? Adjournment, I'm sure you're in. Okay,
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
6-0 on that.
Yeah, I'm over it.
Sorry, I just didn't see it. Into the regular meeting. Several of these items were put just under the commissioner board, just out of pure ease, I guess, of the agenda. But the first one up was the professional services, and it was an additional appropriation of $50,000. Do we have any information on that?
That's mostly our litigation costs. I mean, there will be some Baker Tilly paid out of there. Our Joseph Wells for the evaluation of services will be coming out of that, but that's what the professional services is for.
Okay, so it's going to cover the litigation costs, and is that all of it?
I don't know that it's going to cover everything. I mean, we put a bump in there, but with what's sitting there, I'm not sure.
Okay. Do we know what portion is to litigation and the other?
So far, we have spent $116,542.
And the one is capped at 85.
75. I thought 75.
85.
85.
One's
It is
capped at that.
It is, I did speak to them today. I was telling Heather, they sent a bill for 86, hold on just a minute, 683.76, and they said it was other supplies that were in there, so I don't know, we'll have to investigate that.
Yeah, I told her I told her on reading the agreement, it was $85,000 for attorney's fees and litigation expenses. So to me, now coming back and saying there's another $1,600 of expenses is a little disingenuous. It was included, and I told Jennifer that I would support her if that was her answer to them, is that 85,000 was supposed to include those expenses. So 85,000 to me it is.
So his is 85,000 for the sheriff's portion, and then
So-
ours would be 31,542 to equal 116.
Yeah, and there's like, and I forget if it's 2,500, 2,000 something was mediation,
Okay,
so.
all right. So that covers that part. Then you said there's some money for Baker Tilly out of the 50.
That, we've got bills sitting there from Baker Tilly,
Okay. And I know we're gonna come into
under,
more with them here with budget season and all of the changes with tax law. So that, and then what was there was a third one, I'm sorry, what was it? It was Joe something.
Joseph Wells, he started doing our valuation services. I think that's 4,000, 4,500. No, there's a bill there for that.
What's that, the evaluation service?
It's evaluating all our properties and give us a baseline on what we own. That's something that State Board of Accounts has deemed us on twice.
He kind of has an inventory.
Yeah, it's kind of an inventory and evaluation of things.
Do we know what his fees are?
The last invoice last year was around $4,000, so that's,
Rough, I mean, I'm not holding you to that number, but just an idea.
Wasn't that something the commissioner pointed?
yeah.
Yeah.
It's something that, I mean, he's been working on this since I came into office, and he's given us rough numbers now that we can give State Board of Accounts, because we told him we'd have it done by July 1st, so we'll put that in there, but
When does he plan to have it done, do you know?
that I'm not quite sure.
Gotcha. I mean, he's been working on it, you said 3 years?
Yeah, about 2.5, yeah.
Seems like a long time. So. All right, so that is for $50,000. Where's the copy of that?
Do you have that?
Mhm.
Which ordinance are we on?
I think we're on 36.
And so all that we just discussed would be on ordinance 2025-36 for a total amount coming from the general fund to commissioner professional services in the amount of $50,000. I would entertain a motion to proceed with the,
I'd make a motion to pay our bills.
I'll second it.
And I'll go along with that too. I think that's something we just have to do. If we don't do it, we have more problems than ever, I think, so.
so a motion from White, a second from Collins, and then just a agreement comment from Councilman Elizabeth. Anybody else have any other questions or comments about this one? All in favor, signal with aye. Any opposed, same sign. 6-0 on that. I'm just gonna lay these out here.
You can write the ayes.
Next up was property tax refund additional appropriation.
Who's not here, Richie?
Yeah, James Ritchie. Where we at on that?
I think we originally put in 15,000, and this year, we've had a lot of people come in, and what it's been is like, say somebody paid their property taxes and they didn't have a homestead, deduction on there, so they overpaid. They're coming in here, and we've had a lot more this year than what we've had in the past. I don't know if it's kind of triggered by all the talk of property taxes on the news and everything, and people are looking at their tax bills closer, but we've had more people come in and claim theirs than what we have in the past.
And so this is on ordinance 2025-37 in the amount of $25,000 coming from the general fund to the line of property tax refunds, in which is paid out to citizens that come in and duly have a refund due to them.
Yeah.
I would entertain a motion to accept the $25,000.
I'll make that motion. I'll second.
Miller with the motion, Justin Cheatham with the second. Any questions or comments?
I'm just curious. I got my mouth going
No,
on.
you're good.
I'm always talking. This refund, does that come through the assessor's office? I mean, Do they decide who gets money back?
No, our tax system will show if we go back and we see that they did not have a homestead and they should
Okay.
have, we can put that on and then we can adjust what their bill should have been
Okay,
versus what they paid, and then we know what we owe them back.
okay.
Can they not take that in a property tax credit for the next cycle?
They could, but I don't think we can require them to do that.
Gotcha.
And sometimes if they're small, they do, but some of these were pretty good amounts of money.
Well, I think here yesterday, somebody was coming in, out.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm for it.
Good question. Any other questions or comments? All in favor of the, any opposed, same sign, 6-0 on that one. That one's done. Next up was exam of records, an additional appropriation.
And that's for our state board of accounts. And that's not just for ours, that'll be like for the schools, Stucker Ford, townships. When they have them, we pay for the bill from state board of accounts. And then during settlement time, we pull that money back out of their funds that they get. The amount there was 21 something.
380.29.
That is just gonna make that line zero. We're already negative that much. So I'm certain we'll have another audit at the end of the year, but that could hit, depending on how late the audit is, that could hit this year or it could hit in 2026. So, but that amount there will only make that line back to zero.
And are we current on all of those other entities that we
Yeah, they've all been
all
paid,
been paid of their portion?
but they could be currently, in fact, I'm not so sure the school's not having an audit right now. I'm not certain. So there might be bills that come in later in the year.
If we put extra money in it, what you think might be appropriate?
I have no idea.
You could pay the bills, and if not, it just returns to the general fund.
That's right, it would return to the general fund, but now that is all I advertised. I can advertise more next month if you'd like for me to. But on that, it's hard to tell, because I mean, depending on who gets audited and how much it is, those bills can be, ours are about 100,000 for the bigger ones. So,
Ordinance 2025-38, paying the exam of records of general fund. Entertain a motion for it.
Make a motion, we pay our bills again.
Second.
Wyatt with a motion, Elizabeth with the second. Any questions, comments? All in favor?
What resolution number are we on?
resolution, 7.
So next up was the transfer station additional appropriation.
I did not advertise those. I missed that. So,
You don't have to advertise a transfer there resolution, I don't.
no, it was the transfer station.
Transfer station, it's an
It was an additional, wasn't it? 'Cause didn't we
I
do
had a
it?
transfer. Is that not the right one?
The transfer station that maybe you got sent, does that say EMA down in there?
It says disposal fees to equipment line, $3,003.17.
I think we did that last.
I don't have an additional
You only
appropriation.
paid part of the bill last.
You did, and there was supposed to be an additional, and I didn't give advertise. We did the transfer last month. I'm certain that's what's in the minutes here. But the additional, and like I said, I missed that and I missed the one from EMA, so
Do you want to move that to August?
yeah, I'll have to do that.
They're gonna hurt you, Kevin.
So I don't need this transfer that you sent out like
Let me,
Friday
I'm not sure what I sent.
or Saturday, whatever day it was.
No, you don't, because this was last month.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the only thing I can find that's
So-
there.
That ain't gonna mess you guys up on what's going on out there. You good with that, Randy?
I'm sorry, I was emailing.
What the heck? We're gonna,
I'm just here to make you guys look.
we're,
I
you
don't
got a
think
lot
that's
of
what
work
you
to
did,
do.
that you just sent.
We're gonna
You
move
just sent that.
the transfer, that additional appropriation was, because we did some of it last month. We're supposed to do the rest of it this month, and
Oh my
we
gosh,
didn't
yeah,
get it advertised, so
That's what we
moved
do.
that to August.
This is for EMA,
That's just my record. I printed it off my phone, so it came out funny.
but I got a copy of it.
I'm gonna put for it in your
Where's the
sister.
additional appropriation for computer upgrades?
We're not doing it anyway.
Question.
Sir,
Jennifer, where, do you know how much?
I'm not
When
sure.
we get done hooking up the electricity, they're going to want the additional money that we owe on scale? Do we have that?
I don't think we do. So I will have to check. We'll have to advertise that and get it ready.
When are they gonna want it? I mean, it's gotta be coming up.
I'm sure they're gonna want it as soon as they do their final hookup.
Because we have called them and tried to get an invoice and they said they wouldn't take it. Or they wouldn't give us a bill until it was hooked up. And I think some of the bills that we've been paying, I know we got 2 credit card bills that came out, but I don't know if we've got quite enough. So we might be able to make a partial payment and then do an additional, make another partial.
So do we need to transfer while we're here? Let me pull this up and let's just try to look at it. Give me 1 second here. That is what, general funds? Is that what it is? Transfers? Or
Yes.
Its own, right?
Well, wait a minute. Yeah.
Anybody have any idea what the number is on it? Because it has its own budget, correct?
There is a line that we put money into, but I think what's spent out of is the general. And I think your fund number is 9616. Does that sound right?
So general fund line, 9616.
It's not, is it all the funds?
Of its location.
Mhm. Hang on.
Hmm.
Okay, the fees come out of 1,000 out of general. And then your location is 9614.
So it would probably just be,
You have to go to
go
general.
back to fund, pick general,
I think you're in funds now.
and then go to location and move all this stuff back.
96.
How much more money do we owe the scale?
14.
I don't know. I can't tell you off the top of my head.
So this is what we're looking at right now.
It looks like there's 177 appropriated, spent is 86,900, and there's still $90,819
Yeah.
unspent.
The most you got sitting is in either, you have 25,000, how much do we owe them, do we know?
Not so much as that.
So I'm not sure.
Cause, I mean, I'm just
I didn't
thinking,
know I have a
Disposal
real-
fees.
I'm just thinking you could either transfer from equipment or disposal fees to whatever line you need to give you enough to pay them, and then if we need to do an additional to get over the advertising hump.
I think we've used, and my understanding is I think we've used all of what's in equipment to hook up the compactors. Is that not?
We show
So
3,000.
you have 2 equipment lines, one has $25,788 sitting in it, the other one has
3,000.
$3,000 sitting in it. So you got 28,000 for sake of math, 28,700.
Is that up to date?
It should be, yes. The 3,000 number on your equipment is like repairs. It would be any little thing that happens. The 4,000 is your capital investment. So that's why that 25,000 there,
Is there.
that would go toward the scales. And I'm not even sure how much we've still got left in our venture account. I hate to say I haven't had time to go back and revisit
So
that.
do we need to, I mean, I think we could facilitate a transfer without doing the
We gotta
advertising.
Yeah, we have to do a resolution.
Do a resolution on it and go from disposal to equipment to give you enough to pay them, so that we don't have vendors wanting money and you not able to pay them.
We can do that. I'm just not certain how much we're gonna need. It'll take me a few minutes to figure it out if.
Is Kenley willing to do that, or can she figure it out?
I don't know if
I don't wanna put you on
it's
the
in my
spot.
emails.
Can you agree to do a transfer through email?
No, I think it
The
has.
statute has to be at a public meeting by resolution or ordinance. We do them by resolution.
I just don't want, like you said, them to be here wanting to check. Do we have any ballpark of what it would be?
What was the original cost? Was it 60?
62,000.
And then I think we,
Let's just
And
say,
we paid, we got paid
I don't remember if we paid 30% on that or if it was,
30%.
$62,000.
I don't know if it was 30%.
60,500.
I hate to say we're looking at I'm thinking 2 different things.
$6,000, $6,500 would be 30%.
Other maintenance line of $25,000.
Equipment.
Would that be okay?
I don't know. She says she doesn't know what we need, so we don't know
Let me
what
go
we need to transfer. And what are we gonna, I guess we'd have to do an additional appropriation to put the money back and where to transfer it from. Because if you take it out of disposal free, you gotta have money for disposal.
I mean, 30% of 62.5 would be 18,750 that you paid out.
You paid more than that now.
I don't see anything's been paid that high except disposal fee.
Hey, so while we're waiting, let's move on to Andrew because he's on the agenda, but I'm actually gonna ask to table his because he's in the process of getting some bids on computers. So before we go appropriating money that we don't know how much, he's got to get bids. He's got to get them approved by the commissioner. So we talked earlier in the week, and I would actually just entertain a motion to table the request.
I'm
of
going
the
to table
commissioner.
Andrew's request.
So
I'd second that.
motion by Collins. I'm just gonna write it down so I can tell Jennifer here in a minute for the minutes. Motion by Collins, a second by White. All in favor of tabling Andrew 6-0 on that. And then it's kind of the same thing on, we don't have to table the maintenance for the county website. We're not gonna bring it back up. We're gonna talk about that at budget time. And I spoke to him about that. So as we go into Andrew's budget, just keep in the back of your mind, we're gonna talk about the maintenance cost of the county website, and we'll put that in his budget to move forward. So, just everybody good with that? We're on the same page there. Mark him off the list. Get Randy taken care of on the transfer station. We'll get Kevin home off out.
Randy, can you give a report on the landfill, how the scales are up and running and everything? or-
No, they're not up and running, we're waiting for RUC because of the amount of trash between the building and the scales. We didn't want to dig, so we're having RUC just do another drop from a telephone pole that's only 50 feet away. I signed a piece of paper today to have them go out there and do that, and I think it should be within what I asked for last time. that's $25. But we have all the electric run, everything's ready, it's just waiting on RUC.
Okay, we have paid them $19,461. There was $17,858 at 30% of the scales, $810 in freight, and there was $792 that was something that was 17% too. Was that maybe 30% of a smaller scale or something?
It might have been that little bag sale.
Okay.
It was $3,000 in total.
That might be it then. So that's what we paid them.
How much?
What's the total?
$19,461.
That's
What's
what
the total?
That's what we've paid them
So
so
what
far.
do we,
that's
so what was the
that's
grand
what I
total?
wanted to say.
That's-
60,
He said 63.
63-ish was the total of the scales.
62 something, and
So let's go 63 for the sake of math. And then
then we got
$19,460.
$5,000 or $3,000 small scale.
For
So for
68,000.
the big scale, you're gonna need 43,539 roughly to get that. And then plus 3,000, so you need about 46.
It won't be quite 3,000 on the other scale because we paid
Some,
We paid them like $792 on that one maybe.
$792.
That's what, yeah.
Okay.
Still $2,200.
Subtract that from that.
so if we're at 43.5 on the one, and you need $2,500 on the other one,
You'd have to take it out of disposal fee to transfer.
you need $46,000. And if you got 25,788, we'd have to transfer 20,212. So what if we just transferred 21,000 from disposal to equipment on a resolution tonight? Would that get you
I can do
where you
it.
need to be?
Do you need a,
I think just
Need a resolution.
would do it, just a resolution.
It would go from 1,042, I'm sorry, 1,037.03 to 1,4,200,
42,000. Yeah, John.
Is
40,000.
this an additional or what are we doing here? I'm a
and you
little,
want to do 21,000 out of the disposal?
They're gonna move out of the disposal fee so that she can go ahead and pay
money's
the
already
vendor.
there.
Yeah.
Yes, so she can pay for the vendor for the scales, and then next month, because we have to get that bill paid
She didn't
now.
advertise.
She didn't advertise it for this month, so we're gonna have to the 21,000 that we're doing, that you're transferring tonight, if you vote to do so, would have to be advertised for an additional appropriation from somewhere else to put it back in the disposal fees next time. Does that make sense?
Which then, by then, we would know what's in timber fund, what's in venture, what's in all that stuff that we agreed to. Let's make sure we zero it out. But I don't want
Can we
Randy
not
to
tell him
get
that?
caught with somebody holding their hand out for a check and we don't have the money to cut the check.
We think this will be the last time.
Do I think?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm hopeful.
Well,
but
we've
no.
already allocated the money. We voted on where it's coming from.
Yeah,
Correct.
we did.
We just didn't advertise to move it around.
I'm okay with this. I'm just hoping we
Quit doing
keep
this.
coming back. Yeah.
Yes, I agree.
Stop the bleeding somewhere.
I'm
Well,
trying.
coming back, I haven't asked for any more money.
No, we're not saying you did. We're just
I
saying.
just want y'all.
Okay.
I don't think
I
you're
get it, I
causing
get
the
it.
bleeding there, Randy.
No, it ain't you
Hoping
this
this the
time.
last time.
I mean, I enjoy blaming stuff on you, but I can't blame this one.
I'm trying to get it exact. I'm trying to find my email here. I just want to.
I got it.
I just.
It was 62,000 and change.
Well, I think he upped it to 63 and then put the 5 in for the smaller one, so I think,
No, I'm sure you got.
You'll be
I just
fine.
want to be honest with you.
Right.
Okay, I may be stupid here. I'm a rock, as Eric used to say.
I missed that guy.
We allocated the funds for this out of venture
timber,
and timber.
and I think that,
What have we done with those? If it's, we've still got to come up with the money to pay.
We did it out of 3: venture,
Unrestricted,
opioid
opioid,
unrestricted, venture
unrestricted,
trucking, and
venture,
Timber.
timber.
The one
And so-
well, he
saying,
wants to know what those 3 funds were spent
And
on.
that's what I was gonna ask of Jennifer for,
Thank you, Jennifer.
You're coming in the middle, I'm using your name, not to, I'm sorry. But I was gonna ask Jennifer for August to make sure that those 3 funds we have, because they had a spreadsheet before that was really easy to follow. If we could just,
Jennifer, we're talking about unrestricted venture
like where all that
and
money came from.
timber, where we
Okay.
already did the appropriations a few months ago
Yeah.
for the transfer
So
station.
in August, will you just make yourself a note?
Unrestricted.
Can we get just that, I think Kinley made the spreadsheet that showed like all the expenses. Then will we just put where they were paid out of?
We can do that.
And that way we can show it, everybody can see it, and we know we're up to date on what
Yes.
we allocated, where we're at. That sound fair?
Yeah.
And then we'll need to advertise for an additional appropriation of 21,000 back into
Yes.
the disposal fees.
that's what I'm asking though, is why are we
And the
taking
10,000
money
for
out of
judgment.
here if we've already allocated it out of the other funds?
So have we used all of opioid unrestricted that was
And the
allocated?
timber and the venture,
And
because that's where
timber.
the money should be coming to pay
The
this.
timber, I know it's used up.
$62,299.
You were pretty close. Plus the other addition for the small scale, right?
3,000.
Plus the small scale.
Which is
3,000, I think you said.
3,000.
I think I said 5.
So that's 65,300 for sake of math. Total.
And they got 25,
But am I
so.
asking the right question?
No, I agree with you, I do.
If we want to, why spend it somewhere else?
That's right,
Speak up,
yeah, I'm
Justin.
glad we had come out of here if we've already allocated out those other funds to pay out of it.
That's a very good
I
question.
think all
Can
that
you see
money's
that?
already been spent.
It can't be. If we spend it for the scales, that's what we allocated it for.
Well,
Let's go look at timber.
it's not just the price of the scales, it's all the concrete putting them in and they've done a lot of.
Yeah, but that was 95,000 or whatever what that was supposed to be.
Yeah, there's a lot out there other than just buying the scales.
3,280.
Unrestricted opioid. What's it?
I'm sorry, $3,717.
3,717.
Yes.
Well, that's almost 1,000 more. Rainy God, you really.
I know.
I'm just kidding.
Let's see if this will get us where we
I
want.
had some bar scales out there that sit you for $100.
Opioid unrestricted, we take, there's
Roll over,
5,000
you get some
in it.
crack and
There's
stuff.
20,000 in
Yeah.
venture still in there. But, what?
Afraid everybody quit using
How
it.
are we over 37?
Or lose the weights, one of the two.
And everything's been expended out of the timber fund.
So the timber fund, according to this, shows that it's gone. there's nothing left in it. It was 39,577.83. I'm showing there's $20,000 in the venture trucking for the transfer station equipment sitting there, and opioid unrestricted for the transfer station has 5,654.41.
How much did we originally appropriate out of?
93 total, right?
That's what for everybody. Oh, out of venture, 20,000.
Because nothing's been used out of it, so it was 20,000 out of venture.
Well, there's more money came
It
in
could have
since
grown
then.
since, that's why I'm wondering.
That's just for what's on the transfer station line.
Oh, okay.
Like they made a line within it for 20,000 and appropriated it
So
to
it
that.
ain't 10,000.
So you got 25,000 sitting right there that's set
Okay.
for the transfer station. Then if you use the other equipment of 25, there's 50,000. We don't need to do
I would
that.
rather take it out of those funds than,
Well, that's what it's already allocated for.
yeah, I'd rather take it out of those funds because
Well,
the
then do
general
anything.
fund, anything's gonna
Well,
come back
the
to it.
25,000.
I mean, because you're
To
saying
finish.
you only gotta pay, if you pay 30% of 65.30 at a bare minimum. That was 19,590, which is about, we spent on 19,461.
And you got 25 in the general fund equipment. I'm gonna get 25 in this too.
Just don't need anything else.
It's 6:33 PM.
So you should be good.
You get this technology.
If you got $45,839,
Is that
what
your
you
fault or
owe
mine?
now, and you got 25,000 in the equipment line in the transfer station, 25,788. You have 20,000 in venture sitting there, that's 45, and then another 5,600 in opioid unrestricted that's allocated. You're over 50,000 right now.
Yeah, well, I mean, we got a lot of things that's, so we got signs yet.
You got 800 in,
Part of that,
you have 800 in printing and advertising. We ain't touched either in transfer station that you could use for that without any appropriation from us.
Yes.
Don't touch your box.
the only thing.
Well, we didn't, we
got-
said, I think we made the motion. We did for the signs.
It's never gonna be right.
I know we did, yeah, we did some
I
small
can't make
items so they could go ahead and get going on it.
Um,
I don't
I don't know how
remember
you're
what it
doing
was.
it.
I've slept since then.
Do it again.
Well, I mean,
Kinley,
why can't we not
do
take
you
it
want to tell
out?
Jennifer she's maybe doing some of that for nothing? I
Yeah.
might have what we need if she wants to look at it. I just don't want her to work for, and then come in here and like, oh, never mind.
I think you guys covered this last time.
I think we're good. I mean,
If not, anything else, we can come back in August for it.
Well, the only thing that we had for you guys is what the county was doing, was taking the haul bill and stuff for hauling the trash out up to Tri-Hawk and burn it. We had that bill and there was something else.
Well, no, we didn't burn any trash, we just, and I say that because you're on camera.
Well, anyway,
But
you moved
we
stuff.
separated trash from wood and we burnt wood at
There you
Tri-Hawk.
go.
good call.
I'm not trying to.
No, I just saying we already had that covered, but we were supposed to reallocate this time to pay for that, to pay Kathy back. for
Hey,
it.
Jennifer, I'm sorry. I just didn't want you to do some work and then come in here and be like, never mind.
Okay,
But if I look at all of this and if I'm correct, the top is the 1,000, the transfer station. So we had that 25 we talked about. Then there's opioid unrestricted, 5,600 there.
Yeah.
And then rental of venture, there's 20,000 sitting there. So
okay,
that would put him, if you use all of those three lines, that'd put him over 50,000 right now.
okay, then we should be,
You should be good to
Yeah.
cut at least that check to them.
yes.
So we don't need to do the appropriation.
And then that's what I'm saying, if it's anything else, we can do it.
Dust settle.
And that's what I'm saying. Then we can go with the spreadsheet.
Exactly,
All of the itemized, and we'll make sure we're all on the same page.
sounds
You
good.
like it?
Sounds good.
I don't want to appropriate anything more than this.
Okay, I don't need it. I like that.
Work out.
All right.
I'll-
You're
We don't
good.
have anything.
All right.
You wanna work your stuff?
Moving on from the transfer station. I appreciate your work in there though, and I just didn't want you to do something for nothing. We, while you were gone, we took care of Andrew and tabled him till August.
Okay,
Because you've already done the appropriation advertising, but he's working on the bids So I don't wanna
I think those are gonna be
appropriate.
open next Wednesday.
Yep.
Correct, yeah.
So I just didn't wanna appropriate until
Okay.
they've approved buying it. So
Okay.
we'll do him in August on that. And I got a motion from Collins, a second from White, and 6-0 vote on that. Okay, so we got that. So we're tabled till August. Kevin, you're up. What kind of chaos can I do for you?
Got any mind left?
Nah, no, I didn't have any before we started.
One by the seat of our pants over here.
Kevin's talking about the fleet engineering guy from, that's doing the ADA compliance for the entire county. And I'll let him talk about that, but then we moved some stuff from the June meeting that was like some winter supplies.
Yeah,
I
we
didn't
can
know.
take care of that real quick. If you would, just table that again. I need to send Jennifer some information. I didn't get that done, so
Okay,
we're good. We'll table that to August.
move that to August.
She probably would have got to advertise it anyway. If it's the sheriff, I forget.
Oh,
Like,
well,
I
we're
didn't send mine. We got time yet. It was 100 degrees this week, so it's all.
Yeah. Salt was the part.
they look at it silly when we try to buy salt and.
So this week engineering, kind of touched base on it there last time. Commissioners entered into contract with the salt company, so they're gonna get the county up in compliance on their ADA and Title VI. All the grants or funding additional funding that I applied for, we have to be compliant with these things. Currently, the county is not. So this company's redoing the most recent one that we have, which I believe was 2015. Was some of the
Yes, I
info
think
we
so.
pulled. So, I don't know, there's a whole binder that he's gonna make up, and then he'll send that off and get us in compliance. I guess where I'm at with it is, it's a county compliance deal. So I paid the last one out of the 1176 fund of in the highway budget, 3,546. This next invoice is 10,517. The billing limit, so it does not exceed, this is 27,000. So you can kind of see there could still be, $14,000 window. The consultant thinks he's going to come in lower on the lower end of that, but that's not a guarantee because it's on an hourly rate.
So you'd need 24,600 to get through the whole project without having to come back for another.
Nope.
Well, my question is on it. I think where I'm coming with it is I can fund it out of my 1176. Does the highway fund this whole thing, or does it come out of other funds somewhere? Because it's not really
It's not just for the highway.
necessarily a highway thing. That's really the question. It is really the question. Can I have the money? Do I have
Is
the
it
money?
gonna be all right if we take some time to look at this, or is this something you need to know?
Well, I gotta pay this invoice.
Okay.
But I can pay it out of ours, and then, because we could always put it back in if need be somewhere else we decide, so I can go ahead and pay the invoice out of 1176, the money's there.
And
And
we
then,
make enough on that cell phone tower deal to pay.
And you don't have enough in there for that, no.
No.
the only reason I say that, John, because with me, it's pretty easy, it's like, it's $10,000 of asphalt. It's just,
Right.
the more I spend on that, the less material I put down. I mean, I don't know that all needs to come out of the highway budget.
Well, the
That's
thing is,
where
it goes
is.
for grants, and there are other entities in the county that
I would
need that
assume
ADA
anybody
for the
that
grant.
applies for any kind of federal or state funding needs to be in compliance.
Exactly.
We've probably been, let's say, lucky that
Skating under the
skating
radar.
under the radar, yeah. Of
So-
not being in compliance.
If you paid the 10,000, that would leave 12,936 roughly remaining that he could bill to his limit, right?
Could. And he's telling me that, I mean, for what that's worth. You see the billing limit out there.
Right.
He thought it would come in on the cheaper end of things, but,
Well, and for what it's worth, I agree with you. I think the county should share the billing in some form or fashion. I guess the question then would be where.
the commissioner did take a bid on it. That's what that was.
Yeah.
What was-
And maybe it's something we talk with the commissioners about, how we fund a portion of
And
it.
say if he can handle this for now and get the invoice paid that's there, and then let us see what we can find out. the health department might even be, since they're getting grants, I'm assuming that'd be one that would be an entity of it too, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I would think anybody that's
Anybody
applying for
should
state or federal grants needs to be in compliance. So,
Maybe we can put it out there and see if some people are willing to
A
help some money.
little here or there, anyway. Anybody contribute.
I'll cover this one and then I'll just come back in August and we'll look at it.
And I'll work
Appreciate
on
that.
sending some feelers around, see if somebody's got some money they're willing to put towards that. Do you have anything else?
That's it.
One other thing, I went to that council meeting thing in, Indy, and they talked some about the wheel tax, which I know is a tender subject, but, one thing I learned on there was, right now we have, how many miles of road? 300 and something?
309.
309. So that's road miles, which is what CCMG or community crossing always looked at. The force from the state level is to do the wheel tax, to move to that. But in that, you move to lane miles. So if you're competing for 300 miles of road and you move to that new system, you go to lane miles, which at a bare minimum would double your mileage. So you're at 618 miles then instead of 309.
Did you understand it like this? If they do that, they're going to put it in 3 different pots.
Yes.
And that's going to be like a $50 million pot, and then they're going to directly pay you for your lane mile. That's not really a grant application.
Right.
That's a, I don't know what you call it. That's a funding application. It's just going
Right.
to be straight.
I mean, I hate to say it's a guarantee because nothing's a guarantee with the state, but
Right.
that's more of a, these are your lane miles we're willing to pay out of the 50.
And then they're going to have a $100 million competitive award.
Yes.
And
But
then the
you
rest of
also
it's
get
going
to
Marion County.
Yeah. But you also, I think, get to enter your lane miles into the award portion where now you would only enter 309.
Yeah.
There you would get to enter at least, 618 at a bare minimum because every road goes 2 ways. Basically, there's only 2 one-way streets in this entire county.
So to my understanding right now, that's how 2026 is going to look.
That's what I was thinking.
Also, I had this conversation today. They first was told it was going to be September or October, and they're only going to do 1 call for CCMG awards, where typically they used to do 2. We typically would apply if we got it, and then we was done because that took our match money anyway. Now they're just going down to 1 call. So it makes it a lot more competitive for sure. And then it went from 250 million that everybody was competing for down to 100 million that you're competing for. So I think it's going to get a little rougher on funding. I believe the county's in the right direction. I totally believe that your funding, you have a better chance for funding if you're small structure and bridges that have been inspected and have failing grades than you are asphalt, because everybody wants asphalt
Right.
everywhere in Indiana, cities, towns, counties. So, we probably concentrate our grant money on items that we have a better chance of getting, and our local money on things that we probably ain't gonna get anyway.
Paving,
chip
chip
seal and preservation, whatever.
Right.
That'll be our intent.
And I think that's a smart move to do that.
Hopefully this first call doesn't come out till January. Do you hear that? Is that what they're saying that is? See, I heard I was told today it could be September, October.
Right.
Well, we're not even budgeted
Until
till,
like November.
that would be tight to even know, do you have your
match.
money? So what to apply for? Because we'll apply, if we can do the match money in budget time, we'll apply for the 1.5, so it'll take us up to
You think they're gonna do
1.8
that?
in the end.
You think they're gonna do the early call just for the people who don't know if they have a match?
Hope not. I guess that'd make it more competitive, wouldn't it?
But yeah, I've heard some of those. So I just wanted to touch on it kind of in an open meeting and make sure we were on the same page with that. I don't think anybody that's elected from a fiscal body likes to talk for taxes, but whether we like it or not, it's coming our way.
Is that the 27 year? That can take an effect and then,
You have to get it set, I think 26, you start getting paid in 26.
so my understanding, we would only be, because my understanding, if we didn't do wheel tax, we'd still be guaranteed the funding off the 600 lane miles. You'd still get that. but you would only be eligible for 500,000 in the competitive pool.
My understanding is you're still road miles. Do the wheel tax version. The only way to get in lane miles is go wheel tax. And you can do minimum, but you have to have something to get into that second or third bucket of money.
I've been studying, it's a moving target
Yeah,
still.
it is.
Is there a
It's very fluid.
maximum and minimum on the wheel tax?
There
Maximum
is.
charge and minimum, what, do
There
you know
is.
what those are?
I don't write off.
I hate to speed this off the top of my head, the USI did a little bit of the study and we was in it. And, they came up with, to get our max funding, it was like $80 per vehicle in Scott County. I don't know if that goes off population.
I want to say the
I
minimum,
don't know really.
minimum
any of the
is like
details.
$4
$80 per
passenger
car?
or
Per car.
You don't know what the minimum would be?
I think the minimum's 4 for a passenger and 7 for a bigger size truck or whatever. But I have that. I just need to find it. And I will get it to you.
Understanding, John, from what they was explaining to us is,
Because
Yeah, go
it's in
minimum,
that
but
big
you may not
packet
be.
they sent me from Indy, so I can find it and get it to
Okay,
you.
yeah, I'm just, but then wasn't there some like, special consideration for trucking companies and things like that?
they didn't get into that. I'm sure there is.
I thought there was,
Commercial, non-commercial, I'm
but
sure.
we're
there's-
just not there yet, huh?
But
To know that, yeah.
that was just the and that's not said, that's their prediction, trying to get, hey,
Yeah.
if you want this funding, this is what you're gonna have to charge, if you want this funding.
Okay.
And they're still moving around, but it's not a cheap tax, not my opinion. So. We'll see.
Well, I appreciate you, Kevin.
Thank you, Kevin.
Yeah, I would like to see that.
I will. I'll find it. It's in. They sent me a half a tree home, so I'll dig through it and find that for you. Did you have him down for August? I think it's mostly agenda, but there may be additional appropriation for winter supplies.
Yeah, but you'll send me an email. on
Oh,
that.
yeah.
Okay. All right. Next up is EMA 911 with Brittany Ward and a request for additional appropriation for a contract. So
Well, I think it's more of a transfer.
It's a transfer.
It's gonna be a
now. Trying to get
transfer.
that one advertised.
just for the record, anybody that doesn't know, this is my wife, so I will absolutely abstain from this conversation. If you want something put on the board, I will do that, but if you'll write me down for any abstain, I would appreciate it.
Would you like your vice president to handle the
Yeah.
presentation?
There you go.
All right, so it's come to our attention that there's a contract, that has been sent to Jeff's email
Correct.
in the past. Obviously, we didn't have access to that, but it is for $14,365. It's for our core system, which is our recording software that we use to record any interaction with communication, phone, radio. So it's something we have to have. I've talked to Jennifer multiple different times. We've communicated. We've come up with a transfer appropriation solution. We're requesting $10,821 from the 1100-102 line and create a line for the 3500-002 for repairs and maintenance to help suffice the cost of this. And then the $3,544 from the 1222-1300 line, which is the deferred comp. So with those combined, we'll be able to pay this invoice of $14,365.
Which we also have another bill at the same amount coming out in, I believe, October, November.
It's October.
So this bill was from last year that is very delinquent. And we have another bill coming out this year. So,
I will advertise it for the next one. And she sent me an email back in May. I missed it. And then I didn't pick it up when we did the July one.
so this year's $14,000 was charged, no, it's not budgeted.
Correct, yeah, it was not budgeted. I mean, I don't think it's anyone's fault due to the history we've had. I think moving forward with any contract, especially in the services, there needs to be a email where multiple people have access to it. So we know what contracts are for the center. There's no miscommunication, they're not being left behind. I think, department head, deputy, IT, somebody from your, table, commissioners, Jennifer, she's, I think something like that would definitely be beneficial moving forward. So this isn't happening again.
And there was a 5-year contract too, so I mean,
Signed
it
and
is money that was going to be spent. It was just not spent.
Your
We're not
locations up there, if you wanted those numbers or anything, it's there, I think.
Oh, I've got them. They're all on that transfer.
So I just need a motion to transfer these, right? And
Need a
do them
motion.
both at once?
Yeah, the resolution is 2025-7, resolution to transfer appropriations between major budget classifications, as Jennifer said, from 10,821 from the general fund, line 11,102, into repairs and maintenance and create a new line. Is that right? 35,002
Yeah.
in general fund?
That'll have to be in general and also in the 1222 fund.
Okay.
It'll need to be put, because there's no line in there currently.
Okay,
So-
and then another a transfer 3,544 from 1222. I don't know what fund is that.
Statewide 911.
That's the state
Okay, so 911 deferred comps line to the repairs and maintenance line, so that they can pay that delinquent bill.
I'll make that motion.
I second it.
John Collins with the motion, John Miller with the second.
John Legend says yes to.
You have to say all in favor.
All in favor?
1, 2, 3. Abstain from JR, so 5-0.
6.
No,
6 and I'm abstaining.
you're
I'm
abstaining,
abstaining 5
so
in favor.
5-0-1.
Sorry, you're
Yeah,
Okay.
what she said.
Yep. right. All right.
You guys got anything else?
So
I
JR
was
is
gonna tell her, I've been
abstaining.
seeing on social media a little bit of the dispatching.
Yes,
I like that. You know what I'm talking about?
yes, yes, yes.
I try to,
Okay, never mind. Never mind. Well, I like it.
I mean,
You know. Okay.
I try not to do social media too much.
Well, it was good. It was good.
I'll try to get on that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Appreciate it. Thanks, Jennifer. I mean, she really helped out the past couple days, trying to figure out a solution for this because it needed to be done, so.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, Andrew.
Thank you, Andrew. Thank you.
What are we doing next?
39 holding space.
Holding
for-
space recovery.
Yeah.
You up.
Here I am.
They've been very patient.
Oh, no, patient.
Thank you.
These are the packets that I put together for the commissioners. I wanted to have to do that half the day.
Oh,
Yeah,
you failed it. Hard to find good help. So they're here tonight to talk about some of the restricted opioid funds for holding space recovery. And this has been through the Board of Commissioners and sent to us. So I'll let you talk about what your plans are.
We met in front of the commissioners on the 21st, and we requested, out of the restricted opioid settlement funds, we requested $89,363.50. And in the packet that I have put together, is kind of like the budget, what our total operating budget is. And 70% of the total operating budget is provided by Mental Health of America of Indiana, which totals $250,217.80. So that already comes into the community for us to run our IRACS program. And the state wants us to collect or to get 30% from our community to help operate that. So I requested 25% of those funds from the commissioners, and I'm here now to request that. And then we went to Austin City Council. I guess it was a month ago tonight. They meet the same night as you do. So we were there last month, and we received $8,936.35. And I still have yet to get on the agenda for Scottsburg City. So I didn't want to come and ask for the full 30 from you guys. I was trying to split it, but I know that both of the cities don't get near.
Split this, it'll be 10% all across the board.
Well, they don't get the kind of money that you guys do or the county does with settlement. So I did ask for some through there. And then I've also attached a little packet and highlighted. So this is the from the restricted abatement strategies for our opioid settlement. So I kind of highlighted like where we fall in line in that restricted. I also put in there what our deliverables are from Mental Health of America. So each month when we receive the money, what we have to do to be able to receive those funds. And then when we created this, we did it from July when we launched last year to April 30th. And I believe Lindsay just sent out today to JR and to Randy May and June's numbers. So when we come and requested money last year, we promised that we would send out reports so you guys would know where your money is going and what we are doing. So every 2 months, Lindsay sends numbers to both the commissioners and the council. And then at the very back of it, since we've been able to launch our IRACS program, which is our jail program, for people that aren't aware, we've been able to start a recovery pod within the jail. So we have a men's recovery pod in there. I believe that our women's just started back up again. And today, when we went in, we received a thank you card and a letter. And I made a copy of the letter and attached it to the back. So you guys can kind of hear from the guys themselves in our recovery pod, what we're doing. I know I ran through that really fast, but.
No, it's fine. And, I mean, I appreciate the updates. I think it means a lot, just like you said, to see where the numbers are going. And then it's great to see, I think we all do social media in some form or fashion. And, you know, from my previous experience as a deputy here in the county, some of the faces I saw back then to seeing them now and the great things they're doing is obviously our county's on the right track. Are we perfect? No. But I think we've made some great strides, and some of my friends in law enforcement tell me the same, that they see that. So I think what you're doing is working, and I appreciate your efforts in it.
Thank you.
So before us tonight is ordinance 2025-39, and it is an ordinance for an additional appropriation coming from the restricted opioid fund to holding space recovery. The amount requested is $89,363.50. Can't get there.
And one of the things that we discussed at the commissioners meeting, because about the church is, I believe there's 430, 450 in that right now, and then there more money will be coming in September, October. So like if there was an issue about too much money coming out all at once, like we don't need all of the money up front. So like if the county wants to, however you guys do that, but like give a little here, give a little in another couple of months, or we just had to have for fiscal year 26, like an agreement that the county would do it. All of the money doesn't have to be paid all at once. If you want to set a payment plan, we are okay with that.
We've got enough in there then. I move that we give them $89,363.50.
I'll second that.
Collins made a motion to accept ordinance 39 for the full amount, with a second from John Lisby. Any questions or comments from council members? All in favor? Any opposed, same sign. 6-0 on that.
Keep up the good work.
Thank you.
guys.
Hey, Kelly, one other question.
Oh, no, that's okay. I didn't figure you did.
No, what you did.
I know in the winter time we
Yeah, a
do
little bit.
warming stations, things like that. Do we have that kind of thing that you know of in the county for, like, whenever it's super hot, somebody asks me and I don't
Like a
have
white flag shelter.
like a cooling station? I
Um,
don't have a good answer, so I thought I would ask.
on Monday through Friday, from really around 8 to 5, our office is open, so people in the winter and in the summer can come in. We have food and drinks in our lobby, a television, like we open it up. But outside of those hours, I don't have the money to staff
Sure, yeah.
into the evening and on the weekends, but they're more than welcome to come up to our office.
And
But
just since
really,
we are on camera, what is that address, just so I don't have to remember?
825 North Highway 31. We are right next door to the Austin City Police Department. So if you turn on Broadway, where Dr. Cook's old office used to be at decades ago.
Okay, so that's an avenue for people, and I appreciate that.
But other than that, I don't really know of anything like within Scottsburg city.
And most of the time, it's like a lot of churches that'll do the warming
Sure.
station, but I've not heard of any
Totally.
open doors for
Yeah.
cooling.
And I didn't, so I thought I would ask, and I know you guys are very
And
reasonable.
then like on Wednesday evenings, I think it's 4:30 or 5, like Turning Point Church opens up, they have a whole, room that they have. I think there's 4 showers in there, 3 sets of washers and dryers for people to come, and they will do a meal. And then people can shower, get hygienes, and that sort of thing. And I think they run for a couple of hours on Wednesday evenings. So, and that's, here in
Wednesday
Scottsburg.
evening, and that's right across from Moto, right there on the 56, kind of sits back off the road. For anybody that's interested, or anybody that asks us, sometimes we're out and we get asked. That's some good information. So.
You care if I read this?
Into
The
the record.
public ought to see that. That's fantastic, that letter.
And they wrote it on with pencil on yellow paper, so sorry my copy didn't come out very well.
There's no names involved here. This is holding space. Says the recovery dorm you all created is making a huge difference in people's lives. Some of us have even completed the 12th step and had a spiritual awakening and are closer to God than ever before. The program is a success, and we pray that holding space may expand throughout the world. It works if you work it. Just for today, we are all sober. God bless you, EPOD. And I think that's fantastic. I think that the public needs to know what you guys are doing.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a good idea of reading it, getting it out there. I skimmed over it. I wasn't sure if there was names. So that's why I appreciate that.
We just got it today, so I thought I'd.
That's awesome. I mean, I hate to say it's a thankless job, but sometimes it is. And sometimes people aren't happy with not getting what they want when they want, but it's nice to hear that things are working, and I truly think it is in this community.
And we asked the guys this afternoon for permission to put that letter in your guys' packets, and so you guys could read it. And a few months ago, that all of the guys in there decided they want to learn how to meditate and potentially do some yoga. So I started going in there on Tuesday afternoons. Now, when you see a whole group of grown men practicing their breathing and trying to sit quiet, it's great. Some of them forget how to breathe, and then they start, well, am I doing this right? But it's great to get them all to sit down in there and do things.
Yeah, absolutely.
Good job.
Thanks for
Thank
your
you,
work.
guys.
Anything, let us know. Next up is the sheriff's department and the appropriation of funds from that litigation agreement, as well as some other requests. So do we want to dive into the litigation part first? Would that be easiest?
Really,
I don't know if any of it would be easy, but.
everything I have is for the agreed order.
Okay.
Well, other than Liso and K9.
Let's see.
Oh.
Hello.
You and that watch, I'm gonna take it away
I've
from
got to
you.
get rid of this thing
Did you just get the watch?
recently.
And my mom convinced me she needed one because it tells people if she falls, it'll call, So $2,500 later out of the Apple store, she came out with a new iPad, a watch, and a new phone. I'm really good to my mom. She did.
I need to go to the Apple store. You go with me?
This was the conversation. This little lady across here, she's taking her mom to get the watch because it tells her if she falls. That would be a nice thing to have. Then you're thinking your 75-year-old
What do you
mother's
want to
gonna
start
fall.
with?
You want to do the general fund?
Yeah, just pass them and we'll dig through them.
Pass on. Go. This is number 40.
Which is, so on ordinance 2025-40, this is gonna be all in relation to the agreed order for the sheriff, which we met on a while back and talked about, moved some stuff and went through it. One question I have is, does this, the way I read this additional appropriation, and maybe I'm wrong, but it almost reads like we're appropriating the full amount.
That's what I was going to do, is reappropriate it back into the general fund and unappropriate it out of the 1170 where it was.
So will that leave money back in 1170?
It will, and that's why when I worked all day here and I had that's what I had all set, and that's what I sent off to the be advertised on that Friday, and I sent you guys emails explaining why I had done that, and then we came in here Monday and kind of changed some things around.
Yeah.
But this is what was there because it was already advertised before the Monday meeting.
And Jennifer, when we talked before the meeting, I just want to let you guys know, there was some talk about $2 million being found or whatever. The general fund after these appropriations tonight is gonna be down to about 500,000.
Yeah,
And,
with everything that's on these resolutions.
but we didn't do the 220 for the IT, so that would be 700,000 left in the general. So taking, I guess the question is unappropriating this money, first of all, we need to write that in the ordinance that it's unappropriated at 1170.
And I don't know if there's another form that we need to do to unappropriate. We can do that.
There's nothing even in statute about being able to unappropriate. But I just say we write it in there that these funds are unappropriated if they're all out of 1170. But I guess my question is, what is the ending balance of 1170 going to be if we shift this 481 all to general fund?
Okay, well, we're gonna have to go a little deeper here. Just
a little deeper in the wheel.
It is in the well.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We want
I'm sorry.
5
I have to
minutes
go.
Oh,
Yeah, go to the bathroom.
break. How about you?
Is that okay?
I'm just gonna leave this on,
That's fine.
if you don't mind. and
Yeah.
Then they'll see us go and come.
See what you did there, you beat me to the thank you on that email, because they reminded you.
Okay,
So that's where the money's gonna go back into the general.
no, it's gonna go
This
back
is
into
gonna come
public safety.
Out of general, and go
And
back
out.
into public safety.
Yeah.
Which means public safety is gonna have more money in it.
I thought what we decided on last
On that Monday,
was we were going
we're running
to,
the lids down.
Turn all this
We
stuff
were gonna
off.
run the lids down, because they're going away anyways.
Hey,
But this isn't gonna do that.
why not?
could you,
We're putting $500,000 in the general.
hey, while we're on break, could you come outside with me?
Yeah.
You come over?
Figured out how to shut that thing off.
Did you?
I think.
Short of a hammer?
Here.
Yeah, that might do that too.
No, that's your walkie-talkie. Yeah, you got your volume off. You're good.
That's what I did
It
something
takes
like
a while.
Yeah. Technology. You buy it, takes you 2 or 3 years to figure it out.
It makes change by the time you figure it out.
Yeah, something new coming along.
Well, they send you messages that they'll teach you how to do it for a fee. Well,
Oh, yeah.
just bought the thing.
Ready for school, Justin?
I'm ready for school.
This meeting's still on, or
It's still on, she left it on. I guess
I'm ready for start back.
we're human.
So we're ready, we're on.
I don't know where the summer's went to.
What's that?
I said, I don't know where the summer's went to.
So not too fast.
Yeah, it is.
They're back in school in a month. won't they?
It's like ninth grade,
Six.
sixth, yeah, sorry. Used to have Labor Day weekend.
Back in the good old days.
You want to do it, they're gonna figure it out.
You got like, obviously, they don't take where that thing runs. Okay. Because, well, this is free, I might not be able to charge you, not, this is something else after you're done, so. Yeah, I just signed the paper today, so I haven't done it. They had to have that, they were heating schedule. Give it to fix the light bulb. The guys up there, I would put that.
They fixed the wrong one.
Did it fix the wrong
They
one?
fixed the wrong one, and then they turn around and came back out and fixed it right.
They set up a temporary, they charged me $4,500. And then they turned around and said, well, you're a customer, so we give you $3,000 credit back. Oh, since you're a customer, we will give you the meter base, and we're gonna run the wire from the meter base to the home. That's almost 400 amps to the barn. So they give you a 400 amp meter base, and they're gonna run 400 amp wire, almost 350 feet. So I'm like, okay, I'll give you the $1,500. Yeah. But the first it's $4,500. That's like an instructor worker's almost $2,400 for water meter. Yeah, and that's ridiculous. I'm gonna be paying interest on off the water. That's crazy. And see, it's not for just, to charge $1,000 when you. Oh, yeah. $7,000 for a house in Scottsburg. Walk down there and commit.
We got another back. I thought we just beat that as the building. We just, yeah, we gotta put all of it. Yeah.
You don't drink your water. I tell you what, I put the Harrison in the middle of that. I put the Harrison in the middle of that.
That Murphy contacted me, I talked to you about a month ago, we was on vacation. She lives 2900 block, south of Oakland.
Okay.
And I don't think you'll do this, I understand why you wouldn't. You want a line up there, you want to deal with it. Things line.
Oh,
They think
you know,
people might react, everybody wants to
with our bridge crew, we actually plan on doing limited striping, stopping orders and stuff this year, and then we kind of got occupied with 1,000 other things, but we're gonna look at those things.
And that might be 2982 or something. There's a long hill that goes past Robert Duval all the place.
Side roads, another one I get a lot of requests on.
Yeah. Well, I think paint's expensive.
It is, but I mean, it's, I think we can get to the point where we spot paint on that there, we can get there. Hit through, and then you gotta maintenance that, make sure you don't, I think it's I tell you what, we did is we saw that on the order and the time. Another business already paid, so quality paid, class B, you know. We had some, after we done it, it's okay, we got some perfections that they were.
I had very
You get her down there.
We even,
Maybe not even this year, maybe.
you know, it's a dangerous field.
Thanks, sir. You didn't need to do that. I got it. Thank you.
Same for the lines where you leave side of the road.
Keep one in the middle.
Yeah.
And then people just didn't exactly drive, no, we they changed
Here's the
things.
problem.
I think, man, I hate to say, because I don't know, I know there's some, but I think that they all work together. Yeah, they were in the same building, I believe, yeah.
Heavy storm.
It is, yeah.
You look at the middle line, I just keep them on both sides there. Yeah. Figure that one out. All right, so you're aware of it.
What's that?
How you doing, Randy?
Yeah.
I'm going right by you there.
That's all right. I don't hear that. Yeah.
Sometimes it's better people forget about you.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
You're better off.
First days, yes, ma'am.
Who? I don't know.
That's what John
Where are we?
Courthouse.
Thanks a lot. I feel better about myself, yeah.
Yes.
Okay, now I'm not that skinny yet.
Have you really done pretty good then?
But my blood sugar's good, so I don't care.
Yeah.
Did he really?
I think he did. Justin, do you want a mint or a Werther's?
No, thank you.
Anybody else?
Thank you.
I'm a peppermint girl. As a matter of fact, I have problems keeping my sugar up. I was sucking on peppermints all night last night and I had mine, it was 85. I was like, okay, here we go.
Guys lose Johnny?
He was going in the bathroom, or I was coming out.
Okay. I'm looking for my notes from
All
here.
right.
I don't know.
What's the additional appropriation for the redevelopment?
I talked to her about that, and I don't understand why we need to be doing
Because
that.
people were so where we were.
And I don't know who put it on. But I don't, we can vote on it.
Hey, John, I put it on there just because all she sends me is what she advertises, so
Yeah.
I put it on there, but I have no idea about it until we get here.
Well, when I was on that board, every time we would do something, Tammy went to commissioners and everybody look at it, and I'm like, and even she'd say, we didn't need to, I don't know what, I maybe just thought everybody ought to know what we're doing, or I don't know. So what, you put it on here, or?
I put it on here just because it was advertised for additional appropriations, but it shows like
But,
utilities and.
but it's their own money, right? We're
Yeah,
talking
it's their own
about,
money.
yeah, it's not, whatever, yeah. I don't know, voting, or I just don't know.
Do you ever know about what we said we were gonna take it away?
Ordered.
Yeah, I know.
That's a, like 3-hour meeting.
I guess if we got a second year.
We gotta sit here and figure it out, I guess. Yeah, I don't.
You don't even get paid as much as the other councilman.
I know.
Well, I mean,
We're ready again.
I'm ready. I mean, it's been on now the whole time, so.
we changed.
I don't know where White
utilities.
went, so he'll catch up in a minute.
I know we changed, part-time to 1114.
Which is.
Utilities.
So do we know?
Part-time at 1114, the 300,000, I did not get that advertised.
Okay,
I enjoyed that book, John.
so I guess the $1 million question is, what is lit public safety going to end at? Do we know that?
Did you pass those papers out? Emily? Okay,
We were gonna take the part-time jail,
Yes.
the utilities and the jail commander out of special purpose. And that was gonna take it down to 63,000.
pass them around here. Yeah.
Spend all those money.
Because that's that's about 507,000. Is that 439? So those are the ones we gotta. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, when we took out, because what we figured out after talking to the sheriff is that out of 1,000, or out of the 2024 invoices that we paid, some of them were paid out of the 2025 budget. I thought that would fly, that does not. So by the order, we have to take those back out. There's 65,000, around 65,142 and 1,000. Did you print that page too?
We appropriated all those though, correct? I mean,
No, because some of those, what we did the additional appropriations in before is what we were short after we used the 25 budget. So,
I prayed we would never talk about 24 again.
well, here we are. Here's this. And here's this. And these have not been advertised or anything. But this is the funds that were paid were paid from 2025 funds that are 2024 invoices. So we're gonna need additional, and that's $370,255.82 out of 1,011.14.
no.
And, well, you can see down there, like the 9657, the equipment, that one actually was,
How was the merit board not paid in 24? That's budgeted
because they were over.
$2,000.
And I can go back and look.
Cause they only get budgeted
Mm-hmm.
$2,000 for their meetings.
Yeah.
I mean, they don't get overtime, but they're like us. If they show up to more meetings, it's not my
But I
problem.
think the question is the last time we did the additional appropriation that said CO 2024, is this all of them? Yes. We don't have an extra $370,000
Well,
sitting around.
and I thought that we were able to pay the 24 out of the 25 budget.
Out of his 25, no, that was never an agreement. The 2024s are separate, but we were told at the last meeting, I specifically said, is this the end of the 2024? Yes, this is everything I have. And the sheriff indicated during settlement negotiations that that was everything. We had all the 2024.
Well, and because they were paid, we knew we paid them from 25, and I'd even said that in meeting, said, because you'd say, how's that money gone? Well, we were paying the invoices that came over. So I thought that it was okay to do that. I didn't realize. So this is what the difference is. Kenley went ahead and made another page there, then that's going to show you the 1114. If we take everything that we talked about on the Monday night meeting, plus the 1114 that's on this page, it's going to leave us at 51,191. at the end of the year, which we cannot do that. We need to keep 216,000 in there to make our payment, our bond payment on January 5th of 26.
Well, this is last year.
So
Those are all 2024.
on 24, that's gonna put his total spend at what, 5.5 million, not 5 million,
I'll have to go back and look, because I think we were at 4.9.
4.9 already, plus this 370. Can you, yeah, so
Jesus.
This is all general. fund.
Guys, let's go for his
Well,
overspend.
These guys are the general. There's
Way over.
114, and then this one on here, this 9657, that one.
I don't
was-
feel like he was honest in negotiations when he said all the 2024 bills were in because, and we'd already
They
appropriated.
had all been turned in here, and I had paid them.
Just paid them out of this year's
Mhm.
month.
Yeah. And the only additionals I asked for is where we were short in the 2025 budget to pay the 2024.
Do you have one of these papers on general, how it'll end?
No, it wouldn't take much to make one. And like I said, what I did currently, after the last meeting that we had in today's June, the June meeting, we were left with $2,087,901. Heather and I went through and took out all the general that was on the resolutions or the ordinances for tonight. And I think we ended up with like 457,000.
So from
And then if
2,087,000, that would put us at 1.6,
say that again.
like 1.6 million in there.
So
No.
Jennifer,
You take 400,000 away from 2,087,000.
What I'm saying is when we took, because I think we had over $1 million here.
Yeah.
It was like $1.5 million in tonight's, those resolutions or ordinances, if you add those up.
well, Jennifer, so is this statement not true? The sheriff's office returned $657,394.77 in appropriated budget funds in 2024. Accordingly, the $274,372.80 in funds paid for 2024 invoices in 2025 shall not be offset against the returned amount. Did he return $657,000 to the budget?
I don't know what amount. There's money.
I mean, because we're sitting here
there.
saying that he overspent by 2 million, so he didn't return 657 to the budget.
There's money sitting in the funds that we weren't allowed to use, like the LISO and things like that, that we did not use at the end of the year. Those were.
But those
sitting
were
there.
not appropriated
They
though.
were not appropriated.
So no, he didn't return anything back to the general fund. He
No.
overspent.
The
What is
general or the
budgeted?
lit, he overspent drastically.
Well, I don't know what, I'm gonna have to
So,
talk to his
I
attorneys
guess-
about those because 370,000 is a lot.
The $1 million question that I think I asked last time, and you said, yeah, we were probably close, but good. Are we gonna make it to the end of 2025 with
I-
the money on hand?
I don't think so now. Because that 2.1 million that we had a couple of months ago, like I said, tonight, before anything's taken out, is $2,087,901.
I guess that's, I mean, so if we're gonna have to get a bond, we're gonna have to get on it quick now because it takes months to do that. And that's why I guess it's kind of frustrating that you had told people that we're good, we got $2 million.
I told you we had 2 million, but there was a lot more coming here that,
And we're not gonna even see the end of 25 without a judgment bond. Especially if you got another 370,000 going out.
because there's gonna be another 65,000 about that hit off of this line from,
Well, if he returned $657,000 last year to the budget, then that shouldn't be a problem. You just, whatever it reverted to, take it out of that. But I'm hearing that no, he did not return any money to the budget. He overspent 2 million. Yeah.
there was money left in the budget that was not appropriated.
Where is it?
There
Well,
are money left in funds because he
Yeah,
didn't
there you
ask
go.
for an appropriation out of those funds.
Not a budget.
Correct.
His budget was.
He could have come and asked this body for an additional appropriation, said, hey, I've overspent by $30,000 on my part-time. Can you take it out of this fund? And he never came and asked this body, right? Is that what you're saying?
That's what I'm saying.
Funds have money in them. He never asked for an appropriation because he didn't want to spend
What
those
has to
funds.
be done tonight?
What we have advertised to do are on the resolutions.
Does that have to be done?
Well,
Cause I think I'm gonna need some time to digest some of this.
and that's fine. The only thing is, we're not able to give him a solid budget yet. I mean, we can't give him the numbers of where they're at.
I mean, we can give him what was agreed upon in that agreed order, and those lines just can't go over, right? I mean, we all have that.
We've got that, if that's what you want to go with that location budget.
Well, I think the first general fund would be fine if we write in there that all prior appropriated amounts for these items are unappropriated from those
The
funds.
problem is you're gonna end the year with $378,011.70 that you can't do anything else with. Running general down to next to nothing, and you don't even have anywhere near enough in 11-14 to begin 26. Unless we go through the bond, we pay the loan payment with the bond, which is rob Peter to pay Paul, kind of really poor management of any kind of money.
One thing that could be done, I had advertised this time to put the 300,000 in part-time jailers in 11-14.
Yeah.
We could now advertise that to put it in 11-70, and I think that takes that number down to 79,000 at the end of the year. And that frees up some space in 11, and another thing we can do, where we had originally appropriated the 225,000 for utilities in the jail, leave it in general, which we have not taken it, we've not put it back in general, so
If we
that's,
did the $300,000 of jail part-time, that would go back into 11-14, that would leave enough from that
it would,
to cover 26's first payment.
yes, but what you could do that would be even closer, you could, leave the 225, and then you'll have to have another 25,000 for utilities to make him these 250,000 that he asked for. You can leave that in general, which is where it's currently budgeted. That will take off the number here, the 11-14. That adds back, I think, 146,185, because we were just going to move the portion of utilities that had not been used yet.
Yeah.
So that'll put 145,20 back in there. Then you can put the 1170. I think that was the I think that was jail commander that I had. No, I'm sorry.
That would take multiple moves to get to 216.5, right?
Well, if
No, we
because you're left with 51,000. If you leave the utilities, that takes you to 190. And then
Because that
if
was
you
24.
move the jail,
Yeah. Oh, no, it
wait a
wasn't.
minute, I thought the jail commander, but that's not correct.
Yeah, no, that's why I'm confused, because we did appropriate that, but I didn't bring my binder with me tonight. And that would have been 2025.
Oh, I was looking at 40,258. Was it jail commander? Because I already had him in 1170. So did we put him on the budget? It's 2 years from now.
I agree. I totally agree.
Okay, currently we have, out of that money that leaves the 51,000 out of that, we do have the jail commander budgeted in 11-14. We could move him back to 11-70. So if we move him back to 11-70, the jail commander, if we leave the remaining of the utilities in general, and then with the 51,000 that's left, it gives you just a little cushion over, I forget if it was
So I don't understand.
230, maybe 220, 230, that it would leave in lit at the end of the year.
The jail commander's what, 70,000?
Well, the portion that we put, yeah, his 71.5 is total, but the portion that we needed to add him was $40,258. So that's the part that would move out of 11-14 back into 11-70.
Which would take it up to 90,000, right?
I'm
It
sorry.
would take that, so if you got 51 and you've taken 40-something thousand out, it would take you up to 90,000.
Yeah,
And then where's the other
So this
200?
was 2025.
well, the 160,
160, I'm sorry.
No, I've got 146.85 plus 40, 258 is 237, and the 51,191.59 would be $237,634.
Or the single move of the part-time of 300, whatever, we'll put it there. That'd probably be easier move, wouldn't
You know,
it? 'Cause how much of that have we paid?
actually, I think that the jail commander was currently in 1170, so that would be a continuation. The utilities were already in, general, so that would be a continuation.
That ain't gonna build 14 at all, right?
Well, you're taking out expenses that are added in there.
Added.
Yeah. So to not be
December
charging them out of there will add.
Money back.
Mhm.
So what do we need to do tonight, Heather, to meet this agreement?
We need to appropriate what we can.
Which is,
Sorry. I'm just somewhere. Well, what don't you want to appropriate tonight?
what don't you want?
The ordinance that, for the general fund sheriff's department, it meets with the agreed order, what we agreed to budget. Except for we need those ordinance numbers where all of the appropriations were made, and we need to unappropriate it. We
Okay.
need to write in there that
And some of those were in budget,
appropriations,
so we'll need to, yeah.
right. So, well, the budget's passed by ordinance too, right? I mean, we
Right,
passed the
right.
budget. So we need to say, all items included herein that were priorly appropriated under 2025 1 and 2025 whatever, are here, those ordinances are hereby repealed and the money is returned back to whatever fund those were in. And then we can appropriate the full amount, because that's the only issue that I have, is that every one of these on this general fund sheriff's department, for instance, we've already appropriated $55,054 for the sheriff's salary, but we have the whole 110 now coming out of general fund.
And if you want.
So we gotta undo the 55,000 we've already
It
appropriated.
was in
And
1170.
that's the problem with each of everything in this one. So I think as long as we write in there that those ordinances are thereby repealed, the appropriated amounts for these items in the budget and the additional appropriation, and cite those, ordinance numbers, then I think that we would be good. What I don't want to get us in is a situation where you guys pass an additional appropriation tonight, for instance, giving the sheriff $110,108 for a salary, but then we had another $55,054 that we've appropriated since January. So now we have $165,000 appropriated for the sheriff, and that's what I want to avoid. Does that make sense? Okay. I think I had questions on some of the other things too, but I don't know. Do you want to take care of finding those ordinances and just drafting that so we can get this done tonight, and do you want me to come in there and help you?
No, I'm right.
How
Okay.
about the ones that get done, so we have settled on, did you get that one out?
The what?
The lines were,
Yeah, I'm working on it.
yeah, okay.
Yeah, I know what. That's what, yeah, that's what we're.
And I'm here to this.
Well, I mean, this was budgeted in.
We use additionals on that. And that.
In
There's no
2024.
way that goes.
But he can return $600,000.
Well, he's
First time we've ever seen it.
So we never knew any of this wasn't paid.
I mean, that's right here in black and white, that you absolutely didn't return anything. You overspent your budget.
I think what she's saying
by
is
$2 million.
she
And I don't care who
appropriated
you're-
out of 2025 money, but she shouldn't have. But 2024 is closed. There is no more 2024 money. As of January 1, 2025, there's no more 2024 money.
Yeah, I still remember that.
We got that.
This is the only other one that I don't have changes to.
Yes, you better get me. Zach, I'm getting something going on a Bo Zeller's meeting. Thank you, Tim.
Yeah, I need a copy of that. I don't think I got a copy of it. Oh, good, thank you. I got too many papers. I need to come cold paper.
Because
Did you take care of that, Jen?
I got the ordinances right here.
Oh, okay. So you want me to just write it in? Do you have that?
right here's the first.
Okay.
I'm
What are the ordinance numbers, Jen?
Tell us when you need us.
Just a second here. Okay, the first one, the 11,100 for the elected official, that was originally budgeted at 1170 with the original budget.
Mm-hmm. And then there was an additional, because we only did 25%, right? And there was additional in March, but I'm assuming that was at 1172.
Yeah, those were all out of 1170.
What was did we have an ordinance number for the original budget?
I think it was, let me go look.
I'm sitting there looking at how the lights not got turned off. You know,
Well, I'm wondering how this isn't the inmate housing was appropriated in 2025. Why is it on this list? We did several additional appropriations for tires and parts in 2024, I know of.
$350,000 worth.
I wanna know why medical contract that we budgeted last year and put the money in to pay it, and now it's on here again. Did we use the money we'd appropriated to pay other things with, so it left a shortfall?
Well, it might have been transferred out of that area to pay for, you know,
That's what I
staff
say, I
or
don't
whatever.
know.
I feel like I can't even understand how you could get that far behind on that. Medical
No.
service, I mean, they just would.
Well, we
shut it
paid
off.
all those.
They
We
just-
appropriated. They were behind, but we
Yeah.
did an appropriation. I can't remember how much for it. I didn't bring my,
Well, a lot
I have a
of it-
binder
lot
that has all
it
of our
just shut it
appropriations
off.
in it, but.
What?
Yeah.
Mid-January or December, we had a special meeting with the commissioners, and we paid some stuff for the sheriff's department.
And we asked if he needed any
And
funds out of
Zach
the.
Stewart, I mean, he really beat that to death. Are we sure this,
You don't need anything for ARPA funds.
nothing else?
Now the ARPA funds are gone. We can't use them.
Yeah.
We'll go into that.
It sounds like it. And I hate to think that.
You and me both.
Yeah, well, it was there, just gone.
You want to table these and call another meeting? I'm happy to do it.
I think so.
Huh?
I think so.
It
Okay.
felt good for a little bit.
Kinley,
Yeah.
can I pick your brain about loud?
Yeah.
So if I pull up January 1st through December 31st of 24, why don't those numbers match what these numbers say? If this is 24 bills, shouldn't those be, like institutional supplies shows it was negative 4,733.90, but on here it shows institutional supplies of 12,904.
So what's on that sheet was turned in, half of those were turned in on December 31st of 2024.
And we appropriated.
And, well, that was December
Appropriated.
31st of 2024.
So
So the last day of
The last day, so
Correct.
then it was appropriated in 25.
Right.
Correct.
We can't use that money in 2025.
So he was already, let's just say that line I'm using as an example, he was already almost $4,800 negative, then turned in an additional $8,000 to get you to the 12,900.
But if he returned $650,000 to the funds, then why are we having a problem? They would have reverted back, right? Okay.
Should have,
And we appropriated them. We said where they're supposed to be paid from.
but I mean, right
I'm
here,
not a genius, but I'm gonna tell you, get your return on that.
Yeah.
well, right
So
there,
can we do the 15th?
this is county general and both lists. His, which I don't agree with this, but anyway, appropriated money was like $4,400,000. which we all know I disagree on that, but neither here nor there. That right here in black and white only shows there's $28,516, which is a far cry
Does that
from
include the funds that he
600,000.
didn't have appropriations for, but yet
No.
he spent?
No,
Okay.
that's just general and lit. So there's only $28,000 right there that he didn't.
Well, somebody
spend.
adjusted 403,000. What is that negative 403,000 adjustment?
I have no idea.
Okay, can we meet the 15th? Can everybody do the 15th? I can do the 15th if we get it noticed again. And that'll give Jennifer and I some time to figure out what we need to repeal
Change.
and change, but I need you to
We
tell me what you
table
need to
the
change.
sheriff's situation.
Well, he's got 2 other additional appropriation requests that don't have to do with the
Yeah,
agreed order, so
We'll deal with them in a minute, but yeah,
let me ask Jennifer if she
agreed
can do
order.
the 15th.
I'm good on the 15th.
But you're gonna need to tell me any of these that you don't, like,
we're
you wanna
gonna
move them in?
Yeah, we're
Do we
gonna
need to
sit
meet
down,
some other time?
Probably.
I am leaving town the 17th and I will be gone probably
Unacceptable.
2 weeks.
It's unacceptable.
Well, you and I can meet over the weekend.
Yeah.
And I'll ask Jennifer.
You want to do a meeting next week?
Yeah, next week on the 15th, so we can table all this stuff.
Yeah.
Get everything the way it's
Just for
supposed
the-
to be.
Just for the sheriff agreement
Yeah.
on the 15th is
Yeah.
what we advertise for. You good with that, Kinley, on an advertisement? Which I think we would just need to advertise on the door, because most of it's all been advertised in the paper. We'll just take a vote to table until the 15th here in a little bit. Does that sound fair? Okay, thank you.
And we're still gonna deal with these other ones tonight.
Yeah, we'll deal with them here in a minute. You might want anything else from this?
I'd second John Collins' motion to
Same motion's on the floor.
table it until the 15th.
I'm just waiting to hear if they confirm the 15th, and then I'll go with it.
I cannot do it 17th or after.
Oh, yeah, yeah. We'll keep you right here.
We'll Zoom call from your motorcycle.
You can't vote on Zoom call, and I damn well want to vote on their business.
7:15.
I think we said you could vote on a Zoom call.
I think you can, just don't need. It has to be like less than half of the time.
I only do it like 2 or 3 times a year or something.
Yeah,
I thought they'd done away with it. That's what we were told. I thought,
no, I think we can do it. You just can't do it. Yeah, you just can't do it.
well, I don't know how to do Zoom, then how's that?
That's more
I'll
likely.
just be honest with you. I don't know how to do Zoom.
Yeah.
Boy, I can't wait on the phone call. I get on this.
I guess I'll learn.
What are y'all talking
I'm
about?
on every day and I'm on confused every day.
I mean, I feel, that's where I get myself. I feel pretty confident on what we're doing. I walk in here and I'm like,
Yeah.
where'd that go?
July,
Is that it?
$370,000
From 24.
Yeah, this is last year's
Yeah.
money.
in July.
But you're pretty sure we've already paid several of these.
I know we have.
No, all of this
Yeah,
was budgeted
So
stuff.
we gotta find the money.
Yeah.
If it's already been, I mean, we don't pay it.
But like Kenley said, he walked over here on December 31st and laid a stack of bills, knowing the year was done. And that stack of bills had to
That
be
is the
paid.
most dishonest.
Okay, guys.
Good on 15?
The 15th, we're good. I'm going to meet with Jennifer at 2:00 on the 14th, just her and I to try to get paperwork however we need it. So you and I are gonna have to find time over Saturday or Sunday, hopefully Saturday,
Okay.
if you have time. And then we can get together and make sure everything's,
So John Collins has made a motion to table the agreement portion of the sheriff's department on the agenda until July the 15th at 6 PM.
Jennifer, would you make sure the notice gets posted for you?
That's what I seconded.
White,
And it's just
White
gonna
was
be,
the second,
That will be the only thing on the agenda.
the only thing on
We're not
that,
going into a whole bunch of.
nothing else.
Yeah.
Just the agreement for the sheriff.
Because we don't have time for advertising.
Nothing, everything's advertised, so we table it, we're good.
and JR and I will make sure everything's the way it's supposed to
We
be.
all met.
And then
talked.
Jennifer and I will meet and make sure that the ordinances repeal the proper one, so we're not double budgeting.
So all in favor of tabling this portion? Any opposed, same sign. 6-0, let us table until July 15th, 2025 at 6 PM. Next Next up on the agenda tonight, moving along, is a request for funds from K9 and or Lisa.
K9 is first.
Which I will say, I requested the invoices just to look at them, and then on those, Kinley sent them to me, I reviewed them, and took it upon myself that I called the vendors, and all of the vendors have been paid since April of this year.
I
They've
didn't think
received
about
checks.
that. And here's the deal, the vendors, I mean, that's who's gonna be getting the checks.
So they
would be
would be
double
coming,
paying them.
that would have had to come out of commissary for you not to know that they were paid.
I have not paid them.
But I called, hold on, let me get out of this thing. I can read them off to you here. The ones I was able to contact were
Well, for what it's worth for me, I am not paying already paid.
So this one, Titan 10 graphics for $160. They're in Salem. I spoke to them on the phone. They have confirmed they have been paid the $160. This is the same thing. This is the invoice number that they actually have. The Cedar Ridge, they purchased a portable building, which is out in Lexington, for $2,200. They confirmed to me that has been paid. They don't know where, but they have a check. It has been paid on that invoice number 1827. The other one I was able to talk to, I guess this one's actually for a dog. They have been paid as well because apparently they were coming to repossess the dog and got paid right away. So that invoice for $1,000 has been paid as well. Obviously, I have no way to confirm these invoices for supplies, and this is all Amazon. However, if you look, several of these are credits and refunds, but the $987.41, most of it's dog related stuff. There is a couple in here that were for looks like uniform pants type thing. I have no way of knowing.
The orders from Amazon, they don't PO us, right? We have to pay them when we order, right?
No, there is like a PO because we do get an invoice because I know we had one that was a problem before that we don't get the correct number. And I think there's one sitting here that's still not paid because they've not given us the number, like the cover sheet that's there. So I believe there is a way that they do an invoice with.
I'm not paying nothing. I can't confirm what it is, or if it's already been paid, I'm sure I'm not paying anything.
My other issue is none of this came up in any of the litigation talk or anything. These are invoices from April, when I do know they got some donations for some canine stuff. I do know that. And I agree that that money is sitting in an account. I wholeheartedly believe it will be used for canine, but his agreement with us, with the county, is $4.4 million. All in. It doesn't mean I'll come to you when another $4,000 on bills I've already paid that Jennifer would be required to cut the checks to these people.
And I was gonna say, those checks go to those people. It's not like they go somewhere else.
And so that would create a whole new mess of problems because then the vendors are going to reach out to him and say, hey, I got another check. What do you want me to do? I'm not comfortable with this. If you guys already let me know, we'll entertain a motion to move forward. But for me, the vendor's been paid other than Amazon, and I'll bring that up on another day, but I think Amazon either needs to be the government account that they offer all of us. If he wants to do his own for commissary, that's his prerogative, but we'll deal with that on another day. I have no way of verifying Amazon's paid or not, is what I'm saying.
Well,
but outside of that, everything else has been.
the conversation I had with this attorney regarding these funds that were not, he didn't ask for any of the 4.49 out of these funds. I've had extensive this is very disheartening to me because I've had extensive conversations about the sheriff's office asking for forgiveness and not permission, meaning this is how we got into this situation, is that they go out and spend money and then come and ask for an appropriation, and we either appropriate it with a gun to our head so vendors get paid, or we don't appropriate it and we get sued. So this is just to me another example of, oh, I've spent this $4,300, here's the receipts. And my argument with Mr. Tarkey, and I haven't heard back since then, is the agreement says his total budget, including general fund and lit funds, not exclusive to, but including those funds, is $4.49 million. And there seems to be a belief on the sheriff's part that because this is not a general or lit fund that he's asking for, that he doesn't have to have it appropriated. But the statute is very clear that all funds are budgetable and appropriated unless that meets certain exemptions, which these funds do not. They're home rule funds. So it was very disheartening to me to have that conversation over and over again during litigation about ask for permission, not forgiveness, because that's what the law says you have to do. And also, these funds are not discretionary. There are no discretionary funds. Even the commissary fund, while it doesn't have to be appropriated by you guys, it still has parameters that it does have to be approved by you guys if it doesn't meet those parameters. So this to me was very disconcerting to walk in and see that we have 2 additional appropriation requests on top of 4.49. So then you're at 4.5, and by the end of the year we're going to be at whatever it was this year, 5.3, or and obviously looking at the numbers.
Plus another 370.
Plus another 370, yes.
Well,
So anyways, that to me, from the litigation side, that was the conversations I had with his attorney extensively. And I think what I said in my email to him is either you didn't convey these to your client appropriately, or your client didn't listen to you.
and even on this, the payment due July 5th, it would already be late if this wasn't paid. And it's not even coming to us until July the 8th, but it was ordered May. I mean, this is outside of the requirement here. These are back, there's a portion of that says they'll get bills to you in a timely fashion.
45 days.
And April 25th, we're way outside of that. Payment due by June the 9th, we're a month late there.
Starting to think the agreed order is worth toilet paper.
Yeah, and I think we were snookered in the entire thing, because you're going to come up with 300,000 here. I don't know. You all tell me what you want to do with ordinance number 40. It's for the canine fund. If you want to entertain it, fine. If we don't, I move that we just strike it from it and the funds remain in the account in no way, shape, or form.
Did you just I'm confused. Did you
No,
just
I'm just saying that's what I would say,
You could just-
my opinion, but no way, shape, or form do I want to punish the hardworking deputies of the sheriff's department, but the procedures in which this is taking place is drastically wrong, and I can't condone it from my
I
heart.
move that we do not pass the ordinances for the canine on the leasehold county.
I'm second that.
So motion on the floor to not consider ordinance 2025-40 in the canine fund by Collins, for the second by White. Any questions or comments regarding that?
Yeah, the only question I got, talking to my attorney over here mostly, we don't pay it, then what?
It's already paid out of.
So these are paid, the canine bills and all that?
JR called everybody but Amazon because he didn't have a way to contact
We
them.
do vote from what you said a second time.
And
What
Jennifer is bound by law to pay, Jennifer is bound by law to pay a check to the claim that is given. That's what she would have to do. So the claims would be to, and these are the ones that I can verify, would be to this, I think it's Josh Burke, maybe Josh C. Burke in Cedar Lake, Indiana. She has to cut him a check for this dog, and that's paid. And then you go up to the next one is the shed that he bought. She has to, by law, if I'm not mistaken, cut a check to Cedar Ridge Portable Buildings, because that's what's on the claim. That guy's already been paid. He's been paid since April. And the same way with Titan 10. He's been paid since April as well.
Well, what I think I'm trying to sort out here is who brought these bills back to us the second time?
Well,
Did the sheriff do that?
He sent them
He
over
brought
to
them
them.
again. Does he not know they're already paid? Who knows, right?
I don't know.
That's what I think.
Jerry has
Somebody should be over here explaining.
I agree. Every time a department has, usually when a department head has an appropriation or transfer request you saw tonight, every one of the department heads showed up.
Yeah.
And I think that a lot of these times that we have questions and the sheriff is not here to respond to them, we don't know. Somebody, Patty, yes. I mean, I don't care who it is, obviously, but I mean, you guys have a lot of questions and we can't get answers to them. I mean, JR had to call those people himself.
Every one of those bills were paid?
Everyone I can verify. I can't call Amazon. I have no way to call them, but all of the other vendors, I called them on my own time, and yes.
And I guess my response to, if Amazon has not been paid, then the sheriff can tell us where out of his $4.9 million budget he submitted, he wants that money to come out of. What line? Does he want it to come out of general fund supplies? Is it a jail supply? I mean.
Because he's not getting any more money.
I don't think that he can. We don't have it. I mean, when we go into budget season, for him to budget, you're going to have to use these discretionary funds that really are discretionary. They're gonna have to be budgeted and appropriated. If he wanted $2,000 to me in negotiating, and Zach and I worked very hard on negotiating that agreed order, and we expected everybody to abide by it. But if you wanted $2,000 for your canine program, then Exhibit C should have been $2,000 from the canine fund. And that's, to me, that's all there is to it. And if you go down that slip, yes, everything's paid. That's a whole separate issue. But to me, if you go down that slippery slope, pretty soon we're at 5.2 like we were in 2024. 4.49 is what the agreement says. It says the total budget, including general and lit. It doesn't say exclusive to general and lit. So, I mean, he had the opportunity to say, I need $2,000 out of the canine. And next year he's going to have to do that because there's no place we can even budget for those. I mean, we're gonna have a hard time in 2026.
Okay. So in regarding this, we have a motion on the floor to not accept the additional appropriation with a second. Is there any other questions or comments? All in favor? Any opposed? So that's 6-0 on not taking that up. Which kind of goes into the same thing of the next one, which is LISO. Do we know?
I'm gonna return that back to
what's he want
Jennifer.
this money
I think it
for?
was cartridges.
Cartridges?
I think it's what?
Like ink?
Cartridges? I'm thinking like bullet cartridges, but I
Oh.
don't know. I'm not law enforcement.
Well, he has supply lines in his agreed order budget,
I don't
right?
think I want to fight a bad guy with any cartridge.
Well, what part of his 4.949s he want us to take at LISO out of?
And that's where I would be on my vote, but I'll entertain a motion to accept or deny the additional appropriation for the
How
sheriff's
much for
department.
LISO?
2,223.65.
And what is LISO?
It is the auction proceeds,
It's a home rule fund.
which I can tell you maybe what's in there.
Did we
That
get,
would be a cash ledger.
did we get an invoice for that already? or-
Actually, your combined ledger would be a little better because it'll show you, well, there's nothing appropriated, so cash ledger in this one would be okay, yes.
Is LISO budgeted
No,
into, okay,
no.
there's your answer.
He did not ask for any budget appropriation out of LISO for his appropriate, his
I make
agreed
a
order.
motion, we do not pay that. Or transfer that, whatever you want to call it.
Well, I think the appropriate thing from what you're saying and what I understand your intent is that he would pay it out of one of the funds that were appropriated under the agreed order.
I have no idea. No, I guess I can just look in front of me.
I don't care how he pays it, as long as it comes out of that.
Well, I'm always about one step behind here. So he's asking appropriation of funds from the litigation. I'm not even sure what that means.
Say that again. Okay, that's what we were trying to do. That's what we tabled. Until we sit down and make more ordinances on that.
And request for funds from K9 and
K9 and
We
Lisa.
just took care of that. So here's the LISO,
For the dog? or what?
Yes, for the
The
dog.
dog is
which we
K9, Lisa, I think
appropriated
was
those.
cartridges.
The PB Electronics, the Motorola was a radio payment, the Axon is tasers maybe that he bought, I think.
So it looks like in 2026, you can appropriate $20,000 out of that.
So, yeah. So, I entertain a motion to accept or deny
I've done put a
ordinance
motion,
2025-41. You did, what was it? Can I hear it again, please?
I put a motion on the table to not pay that, to not transfer it, whatever you want to call it.
So
Appropriate.
White made
Not
a,
appropriate, there you go.
White's made a motion to not entertain the additional appropriation under ordinance 2025-41 with a second from Collins. Any questions or comments? All in favor? Any opposed? 6-0 on that one.
And this is to an Axon company for cartridges.
And he can tell us where he wants to take it out of his extra 400 grand he took from the taxpayer.
Anywhere.
Well, I mean, I don't know.
Can you give that back to Jennifer, please?
I don't know. if they
What was
can
your
pay-
question, John?
Well,
If they've
those
been paid or
haven't
not.
been paid, she's not sure.
Not through my office, they have not been.
Well, then he can pay it out of one of his appropriated budget items in the agreed order.
Yeah.
I mean, he's got a supply line, he's got a tire and parts he can move from, and
It's just, sometimes I'm not sure what he's
he's got a
asking.
sheriff car. Yeah, I don't think it's,
He's got a lease on account, John.
Yeah, I know that.
He
He's
wants us to
wanting
pay that.
$2,000 out of it to pay something instead of using his 400 grand he just took
That's
from
a
me
bill
and
he owes.
everybody else. Yes.
it's what?
Maybe.
But apparently he's not paid for it yet, or?
That I
We don't know if he's ordered it or he's asking for
No
the
idea.
money before he
Why
orders
should
it.
he pay for it?
I don't
If
know,
he
I'm
can get
asking.
us to pay.
Yeah, we don't
I
know.
don't know.
We don't have anybody here from the sheriff's
No
department to
records.
answer, I'm sorry.
Okay.
If I knew, I would tell you. I
We
don't
done
think
with
Jennifer knows
sheriff,
either.
already put it to bed?
Yes.
Jennifer, he hasn't given you an invoice for that yet, right?
An invoice?
Yeah.
Yeah,
He
she
did?
just said.
Did you call and ask them
I
if
did
they
not.
paid it?
I did
I'll
not.
say, yeah, I just had it in here.
I really don't have time to
Thank
babysit
you.
his account.
Okay.
Well, I didn't see the lease.
I just thought it would help John though.
Well, I see that, but I don't see the amount of money he's talking about.
And
I
if
know
you-
you guys have that.
Well, she sent it with the
Mhm.
emails with the agenda and stuff.
She did.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
It's just an
The,
additional appropriation request. Sorry.
if anybody wants that, I'm sure the auditor's office can email you
Okay.
the invoice. And if you want to, like I did, call them. I can't call on every invoice they send over here. I just had a feeling
You did pretty good tonight.
about the one, but,
Yeah.
all right, on to redevelopment. What we got for them?
And honestly, I don't know. I had people tell me these don't have to be advertised, and if they do. In our professional services line, we're 30,000 short off of the budget that we did for the year. Utilities, there's $1,000 we need to add for the charging stations out here because we're paying utilities for those that we have not before.
How much?
I'm sorry.
You said,
It's 30,000 for professional services, and that's like DC development that we're using to try to help with the just property.
okay.
The utilities, right now, the only utilities we're paying are like on these charging stations. There's one here at the backside of the square. There's one over here in the city parking lot. We're asking for $1,000 in that line. And then there'll be $1,089 in the bond payment because we messed up. We met our budget. We were a little short on that one.
Who's this for redevelopment commission?
It's for redevelopment, TIF.
Okay.
Which they have their
He
own.
kept saying we, and I'm like,
They have
Is
their
the
own-
auditor?
they have their own
She gets
board,
the
right?
joy of
They
sitting
really
that
should,
with us
yes.
Have you guys are on that board. Have you taken these up?
And that's what I'm
It's the
saying.
first I've ever heard of this. And like I said, I know we had to pay DC construction or whatever, but I didn't know anything about any of the rest. It's the first time I've ever had to do this, I think.
Yeah, well, like I said, sometimes we advertise them, sometimes we don't. Some people tell you need to, and some people said being TIF that you guys approve your own boards.
Yeah, I don't even see a budget.
I think
in
it
that
changed
list.
this year because remember you have to tell them what you're planning on.
And see, and I think there's a difference in what kind of board you are, is what it is.
I'm not familiar with TIP. I'm happy to look into it, but I always say better safe than
That's
sorry
what I'm thinking.
anyways.
It's on there, so.
Better safe than
But this
sorry.
comes out of their fund, they have plenty of money in.
I knew that we.
I don't like TIFs. It's the
I
little
don't
bit I know
know if we
about
need
them, I
it.
don't like it.
That's not weird.
Well, I know, but since it's been asked for, I said, I don't see any reason why we don't approve it.
Who asked for it?
I did, because we're low on the money.
Oh, it's just where you.
Yeah, because
saying we're
we've got
short.
lines. I mean, here's the deal, we're, utilities, it's gonna go negative because we don't have a line in there to start out. And you guys did get, I think, a whopping $71 or $73 back on that.
Yeah, 73, I
Do
say.
you have the ordinance, Jen?
Slow charger.
We at 42, I think.
So,
You've got a motion to accept.
Yes, ordinance.
John Collins made a motion to accept ordinance 2025-42 out of the TIF fund for redevelopment. Who was it?
John.
Elizabeth with the second on that. Any questions or comments? It's TIF money going to redevelopment. All in favor?
Just paying bills. Always.
6-0. All right. Sorry. Next up,
I'm trying to help.
was, let's see, we had the second reading of the ordinance regarding the transfers for the council. Do you have that?
I do not. Can we do that? Can we just do that one thing too on Tuesday?
I move that we table the second reading of the ordinance requiring.
To Tuesday the 15th.
And I'll make sure to bring a copy.
All right.
Sorry.
Want motion to table the second reading of the ordinance. Second made by Collins, second by Cheatham,
Now, why are we gonna table it?
because we don't have a copy.
Because I don't know what JR did with his copy.
Way to go, JR.
I know, I'm sorry. All right, 6-0 on that. Did everybody have a chance to look over the minutes that were sent to you?
I wasn't here, so I couldn't look over.
They're on, yeah, you weren't here. You're not on it. They were sent on email. I
got them, yeah, I saw them.
That
good.
looked pretty
I entertain a
spot on.
motion to accept or approve the minutes.
I'd make a motion.
You already got beat.
Second it.
Motion by Miller to accept the minutes, second by White. All in favor of accepting minutes? 1 absent, so 5 all in on that. I put on here updates to the employee bonus raises. I guess we can kind of scratch that for now until we figure out what we're doing with money, because I don't think we have it.
well, and today I sent out, I thought I had sent that before,
You did.
a list of the people, and that's including 2 people that got a state raise, but their,
Yeah, I'm probably.
stipend was not included on that, so.
Are we, the only question I had is for, as a group, looking at this bonus idea, should we find the money somewhere? Are we including elected officials in that or not? Because I think they're on the list.
I'm just gonna tell you, there ain't gonna be no money. I'm just gonna put that out there.
I think you're probably right.
I think that's,
But it'd be nice, I think depending on how much money we got, we consider anybody besides.
I mean, we're looking at about 70 people roughly is what we're looking
I
at.
think it was 71, but now that's including the
With those
elected.
2.
Don't worry about the employees
That's
other than the elected officials, because we all knew what we were getting when we run for it.
I agree with you. I'm totally in agreement with it, but I say it depends on what money we find, and it
Right.
doesn't sound like we're gonna find
Just
it.
for the sake, do you care to omit those 2 that get paid by the state? Because we're not doing that. And send me one of those with no elected officials. And then we'll try to see if there's a possibility of taking care of employees that are hourly.
They should come first.
Absolutely.
Any other comments on that? I think we'll move that along. I put on here information we gathered from the conference in Indy. That was the state Board of Accounts conference. I'll get you that information you wanted on that wheel tax. I have it. One other thing they talked about was some of the legislators were there, and I think they feel confident that counties are going to be in better shape than cities and towns.
As long as we're willing to rake our people over the coal, we'll be in good shape.
Well, and that's going to be entirely up to this body. So that's the big change.
The problem you're
huge
gonna have is
change
you don't make
is-
3,500 or less, do you?
Yeah,
You do?
in townships, but
Not
not cities. They would be over. So Scottsburg would be on its own entity. Austin would be its own entity. We would be responsible for the rest of the county. The biggest change to wrap your mind around is in all of our lifetime, pretty much, taxes of assessed value of property have been directly linked to property tax, which is directly linked to local income tax. One goes up, another one goes, they all have to work together. That is no more. That is what goes away, and that's the big change. The other part of that is taxing the people of Scott County is decided at this table, with the exception of Scottsburg and Austin, obviously, because they have more than 3,500 in a population. They will set their own. But like what White said, You know, if you choose to max out taxes, that's a choice that is made at this level. If you choose to be reasonable and cut services, that is a choice that is made at this table. 26 is going to be the year that those choices are made. 27 is going to be the year that they're enacted. So going into 26, we're going to be similar to incomes and revenues that we've seen in 25. Ours are going to be drastically different because we're going to have a bond to even make 26, I would say. If we had to in 25, we're going to have to get enough to cover 26 because that revenue is not going to change. If you want to change it, you're going to change it in 26 for 27, and you're going to have to set a tax rate equivalent to what needs to be changed. There are some limits, but the way it was explained to me is for all of our adult life pretty much, and anybody correct me if they read this otherwise, but we've lived in the circuit breaker realm. So properties have always had a tax cap, and primarily counties in Indiana have spent above that, which put us into what they created circuit breakers to get us that limit. Then that directly correlated to how much local income tax you could charge, things like that. With all of that going away, your assessed value makes the county worth whatever it's worth. So if your assessed value of property went up, that doesn't necessarily mean your property tax has to go up. Your assessed value is now what Scott County is worth. And then here's what you're allowed to tax up to a certain limit, which is, I think it's 2.9 overall combined of everything. So the hope is we'll get a breakdown from Baker Tilly and be able to say if John Q. Public pays $100 for sake of math on taxes now, it may come out of 3 different buckets, but it'll still equal 100 at the end to keep you relatively the same. Now, if you need to bring more income in, then you got to take John Q. Public to 105 or 110 or whatever you so choose here at this table. But the state doesn't necessarily set limits saying if your property tax or your assessed value goes to here, you have to go to here, which is the realm we've lived in for 50 years. So that's the biggest change, is more responsibility on this board and more duty to be responsible for every dollar that's spent from this board, because you're going to be the ones answering for holding your hand up to pass what taxes go on the citizens of Scott County, from property to local income tax to wheel tax to whatever you want to call it. I know I upset the citizen last time talking about the Gooden tax, but I mean, in reality, whatever you want to call said tax, the idea that we have a local income public safety and a local income special purpose goes away. It doesn't exist anymore. It's a local income tax for the county, and then it's divvied out by this body.
But you can have an EMS and a fire.
You can have several
Well, up to 0.4,
different things.
right?
Fire departments in this county is going to have to decide how they want to structure themselves moving forward, because it's going to be funded by this body and not township trustees anymore. So I've requested a meeting with James Ritchie to be put on the fire chief's agenda. They meet and talk to them, and I would like to at least have an opportunity to tell them this is what's been said, so that they hear it from that meeting versus here.
So the city fire department won't be taxed to Scottsburg?
It'll be taxed through Scottsburg.
Okay.
But they,
Vienna, Lexington.
yeah, Vienna, Lexington, Johnson, Finley, all of them. And then like Jennings is a volunteer fire department that's funded partially by their trustees. So that portion, and that's where things are going to get real hinky with fire departments because of that change coming, that we're going to have to.
The trustee won't be taking in the tax money and paying the contracts to the volunteers. It's
What
gonna have
we've
to
done
come
here in
through
the
this
past
body.
too,
And
redevelopment,
whatever tax rate you
is
set
we've been able to
before,
help fund some of the
it's for
fire
all.
department. Will that still be able to happen?
Yeah, I think you can still fund them. It will probably, or most likely, it will just run through this board as well as, like, so if you were to donate X amount of dollars to whatever fire department, it would actually be you're making a donation or a contribution to the county fiscal body to be appropriated to there. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think so.
Because
We better make sure we have a good budget for Baker Tilly next year.
Trustee, it'll
This
be
year.
quarterly
No
from
kidding.
now
It's gonna be.
and I mean, without putting my foot in my mouth, since we are on camera, I will tell you that there's a move at the state level to do away with the trustee offices.
That's
Been
been,
tried before.
And it's,
yeah.
It's
it's
about
pushing
I'm
it.
not gonna be signed.
All those have to be signed, yes.
And the minutes, we have,
But that's all I had on that, and
And the
I'll send
minutes.
out whatever information to
There.
whoever wants to see that. Does anybody have any other business we need to cover? If not, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion.
I'll say.
Miller with a motion to adjourn, second by White, all in favor? Any opposed? Nope.
Okay, so Saturday.
hang on.
Hold on.
Yeah, what they have to lose? Nothing.